Hi, and welcome to the Arts District podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Georgia.
And Georgia and I are on episode 28 this week. I have a couple things to talk about, mainly revolving around the Junos, and then just one song that I want to play for you guys. Okay, so I'll get started talking about what's going on a little bit for the Junos going on in Hamilton. I know I mentioned before, Juno Week is March 9th to the 15th. So, yeah, hopefully I'll be busy running around town, catching some shows, and who knows who I'll run into. There's going to be lots of very talented people roaming the streets, I'm sure. So definitely looking forward to that. Right now at the Art Gallery of Hamilton, there's two Juno-related exhibitions going on. The first one I'm going to talk about is one called the Juno Tour of Canadian Art Exhibition. It's apparently the fifth of its kind. It's been on display before at the Art Gallery of Ontario, place in Winnipeg. There was a couple listed. I'm not sure if it's the same things. I guess it would have to be wherever the Junos were hosted, likely, and it would go hand in hand with what was going on that year in music. Anyways, back to it. It's kind of going on simultaneously to this other exhibit that's going on at the AGH called Art for a Century. And so they're going hand in hand. The Juno nominees and past winners this year, they select a piece of art from the Art for a Century exhibit. They're supposed to pick a piece that resonates with them, and there's a video on display at the AGH of these people talking about why they picked that piece and why they feel it's important to them and whatnot. Some of the artists or like musicians, bands that took part in this exhibit included Ian Thornley from Big Wreck, the Tea Party, Tom Wilson, Joe Barber, and there was a couple other ones listed. I haven't been to actually see it yet, but I would like to. Maybe Georgia can come down to Hamilton and we'll go back to the AGH and get some footage of that for you. That's going on, started January 24th, and it's closing April 26th. So you still got lots of time to go see that if you're interested. While you're at the AGH, there's another Juno-related exhibition going on. This one's a photography exhibit. It also started on January 24th, and it's ending April 19th. So it's showcasing the past 40 or so years of Canadian music and the Junos. There's apparently more than 50 photos in the collection, and they're all taken by Canada's foremost rock and roll photographers. So there's bound to be a ton of really cool pictures in there of concerts and probably behind the scenes, backstage kind of footage, whatever. It's all photography, I'm guessing. So definitely am interested in seeing that. When I first heard about it, I thought it would be more of the photos taken by actual performers, their experience on the road and whatnot, but still, it seems like a cool thing, and I definitely want to go see it. I don't go out to galleries and whatnot as often as Georgia, so but every time I've gone with her, I've had a good time, so definitely something that I want to do more in this new year is going to see cool exhibits. And yeah, okay. It's going to be hustling and bustling around Hamilton for Juno Week. If you can get to Hamilton to experience some of it, you will probably have a good time. There's tons of events going on during that entire week, March 9th to 15th. You can see them all on the Juno website, which is junoowards.ca. Take a look and see if there's anything you want to check out. Okay. So, the song that I want to play for you guys this week is actually one by the Alabama Shakes. Now, I know I said I was only going to focus on Canadian music. I'm just detouring from that this week because the Alabama Shakes are awesome, and it's been 3 years since they put out an album, so this is very exciting. Their last album came out in 2012. It was called Boys and Girls, and they announced February 10th, so just like last week, that they were putting out a new album. And it was funny because just a couple weeks ago I was thinking, what happened to the Alabama Shakes? Like, I hope they're not one of those bands that, you know, had a great debut album and then just kind of disappears after that. So I was very happy to hear that they're putting out a new album. It's due out April 20th, and it's called Sound and Color. The first single they released is called Don't Wanna Fight, and that's the one that I'm going to play for this episode. It's very similar sounding to what they put out on Boys and Girls, which is good. But I'm interested in hearing more of the other songs on the album to see if they experimented a little bit and brought in new elements to the music. So they're looking to start touring in a month. If you go onto their website, which I can't believe I didn't write down because I always write that down. It's probably alabamashakes.com or something. They have a couple dates in the States. Unfortunately, none in Canada yet, but it's only a matter of time before those get announced, I'm sure. I think I said in a couple episodes ago that I saw them, I think it was in 2013, I saw them play at Echo Beach in summer in Toronto. And it was a great show. They put on a good show, and music's great, so very exciting. Okay, Georgia, I know you love my word association and how music makes me feel and the imagery that songs conjure up in my head, so here's some for you. So when I listen to this song, Don't Wanna Fight, here's some things you can keep in mind when you're listening to it. The chorus sounded very Maroon 5-ish. Like, I can definitely picture Adam Levine singing it. Very catchy, very upbeat, although the song itself is kind of melancholy in a way. Okay, so picture this. Driving in the summer with the top down, like assuming we all have convertibles. This is going to sound weird to all the guys watching, but I want to wear red lipstick when I listen to this song, and I don't even wear lipsticks. This is a weird one for me. And it kind of makes me want to, be dragging on a cigarette, and I don't smoke either. I hate smoking, so it's weird that a song would make me feel that way. I think it's just because Brittany Howard, the singer of the Alabama Shakes, she's got this husky kind of raspy voice, and it just makes me want to be like her. I want to have a husky voice, which I assume I would only get by smoking cigarettes. And yeah, so weird. I know, very weird. I also put that it would be a good walking song. It's just got a nice pace to it. I think it's the kind of song that I could easily walk to, and I walk a lot, so I'll definitely add that to my walking playlist. Yeah, so like I said, Brittany Howard, raw, husky voice, full of emotion. Definitely love her. I think she's one of the top contenders for best female vocal that's out now. Not traditionally pop sounding, which is very refreshing. Yeah, okay, so check it out. This is Don't Wanna Fight.
Your pride and my pride. Don't waste my time.
Okay, how did you like it? Let me know on our Facebook page or in the comments of our YouTube section what the comment section of our YouTube, that's what I meant to say, all over the place today. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye out for that new album April 20th. Maybe I'll do a full album review once it's actually out. Yeah, so cool, looking forward to that.
So a couple weeks ago I was talking about the Douglas Coupland exhibition. It's called Everywhere is Anything, is Anything, is Everything. And it's on at the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, and the MoCA, which is the Museum of Contemporary Canadian Art. And this morning I got to check out both locations. So I thought I would share that with you guys today. It's a snowy, miserable Saturday, but I made the journey and got a chance to check out both exhibitions. So I didn't get any video, but here are some photographs. So first I went to the ROM, and I think I have mentioned before the crystal edition that the ROM has, and I think on the outside I really like it. I believe the architect is Daniel Liebskin, who's done major museums and galleries and buildings in cities around the world. I think famously the Holocaust Museum, but I have to check. I've seen a documentary on him, but it's a long time ago now. So he's really well known for doing these sort of angular closed spaces with interesting windows that you can see into different sections. But I have to say, I was wandering the ROM for ages trying to find the exhibition. It wasn't super clearly marked. I was expecting like giant banners telling me where exactly the exhibition was inside the ROM, but that didn't happen, and eventually I did find a quite small sign on the first floor that led me up to the fourth floor in the sort of crystal area, which is where the exhibition was held. So ultimately this is really more of a criticism on the ROM's edition than it is on Douglas Coupland's work, but I just find that that edition is not awesome. I just found that like by the time I found the exhibition, I was sort of exhausted and annoyed, and I just don't think angled rooms and weird ceilings are conducive to museums and checking out, it wasn't inviting. It wasn't an inviting experience. So sorry to the ROM, you have this edition forever now. We're humans and we like 90-degree angles. That's why we've been building rectangular rooms for thousands of years. Anyway, going on to the exhibition, yeah, he uses a lot of bright colors, and he's exploring like what it is to be Canadian nowadays, and living in an internet age. And I think the Canadian side was more at the Mocha than it was at the ROM, but he had some giant paintings that used those square codes that you scan with your phone, and I should have thought to scan one, but I didn't. So I don't know if that leads you anywhere. Yeah, so they have like different colors on them, and good on him for jumping on that, because I have had in my mind doing some sort of art piece with those scanning codes for a while, but I just haven't made it happen. So interesting to see those in the gallery. And an interesting play, because I know some gallery exhibitions use those codes when you're in the gallery to scan and get more information about the art, so it's kind of funny to have an art piece that is one of those. I think there were a couple of them, and just squares of color within. Pretty cool. And then what else? There was a really literal art piece, and I don't know if I got a photo of it, but he had a whole bunch of wigs squished between glass, and they're recreation of Andy Warhol's wigs. And in, I think, Andy Warhol's diaries, there was a book that he published, he mentions how good wigs looked squished between glass, so Douglas Coupland executed that with these wig recreations. So it's sort of an homage to this pop art all-star, and a really literal interpretation. So that was kind of cool, fun. There were a couple portraits. There were some photographs of young people with paint dripping down over their faces, obscuring them. And they were from 2010, so that is a little while ago, but it just seemed like something that I've seen before. Like, it seems like something that I see all over Tumblr all the time. These really simple photographs, white background or simple colored background, and then the faces are obscured with things or with paint. So that just feels really now and not necessarily like it's really making a statement. Nice to look at, but yeah, not a lot of content. What I did find really interesting is he had, I think they were car crash portraits, and I don't know if I got photos of these either, but they were really dark. Like, it looked as though it was just a square of black on a piece of paper inside a frame, but actually it was a really darkened down graduation photos of people who had died in car crashes. And yeah, so initially it just looks like essentially nothing, but as you look more and more, it turns out that they're these really haunting, darkened images that you can barely see, so I really liked those. There was also this giant wall of sort of internet speak in bright colors, and I feel like it really summed up the internet experience well. I think I've got a couple photos of that. It was just this overwhelming wall of all these bright colored text panels saying simple things about the internet. And yeah, that worked really well. Again, very simple. So yeah. A lot of his work seemed to revolve around collections. At the ROM, there was a collection that was sort of just things he was not trying to gather around a theme, but trying to explore what's going on subconsciously through this collection of things. So that was kind of interesting, all different colors and interesting to look at. I couldn't decipher an overall theme or anything from it. There was also, commenting on today's digital age, he had a large diorama that had just lots of surveillance and towers and houses and cars and things, and then just these cameras everywhere and towers with cameras everywhere, and I don't think there were any people in it, but yeah, just talking about being surveyed and the culture that we live in that is constantly being surveyed. I think that was interesting, and it was easy to immediately grab, like simple to understand, but then I was hoping for more. Like I kept looking in at this thing, trying to find little quirky things, but never actually finding anything. It was just very surface, so that was a little ultimately disappointing. Oh yeah, there was also a little section at the ROM devoted to his writing, so they had a lot of his papers there from writing at UBC, and also lots of books, and then some artworks that are based on text. So that was pretty interesting because I've really enjoyed his writing before. I think what I've read is Player One, and if you're interested, check that out because it's a really interesting contemporary novel thing. So yeah, check out Player One. So by this time I was leaving the ROM. I was frustrated because I had had such a hard time finding the exhibition. I walked all over the ROM, and I think that was good because I haven't been there in a long time, and I got to see a lot of design stuff that I hadn't really seen before. There was a whole Art Deco section, and I saw lots of these room setups from the 18th century, and that was really cool. But ultimately I was frustrated at not being able to find the exhibition immediately. I think I was getting tired and hungry, so I stopped for lunch on my way to the Mocha to regroup and recharge, and then I had a long snowy walk along Queen Street to get there. Being in the Mocha's exhibition space, I was a lot more comfortable. It's got square walls and 90-degree angles, and right off the bat I was way more comfortable and way more open and accepting to the artwork simply because of that, I think. Yeah, so that sort of set me up to enjoy, and I don't know if it's my being closed off to experiencing the ROM's crazy exhibition spaces, or if this is actually a human thing, because I just felt so much better going into the Mocha's exhibition space than I did going into the ROM's. So right off the bat, there was a really great piece that was a whole bunch of pencil crayons that were lined up in different color sequences, and there were 4 rows of them. Very simple, clean, beautiful, and they just represented the 4 seasons. And So right there, you've got sort of this Canadian thing happening because we have such distinct seasons. And I think representing them with crayons is such a simple artistic gesture. I really enjoyed that. And then moving along, he had a few paintings that were based on Group of Seven, Tom Thompson and Emily Carr works. And he was taking sort of degenerated JPEGs from the internet and turning the paintings into flat planes and then recreating them on canvases. So I found that really great. This work was from 2013, and it just so happens that I was doing really similar things in my artistic practice, with playing on internet degenerated images of artworks, more in a photographic context, but interesting to see someone taking it to painting from the digital, whereas I kept things digital and sort of perpetuated the digital destruction of artistic images. Anyway, so I found that really interesting because it was very connected to my work and we were creating this work at the same time, so I think that was really cool. And then within that space as well, there was a big sculpture that I didn't find a wall text on. I don't know if there was one and I just missed it, but it was one of those electrical towers. It's like a recreation of one of those towers that holds all the wires and stuff, but it was sort of folded over and collapsed, and that was really nice, surrounded by these abstracted angular Canadian landscapes, because when the Group of Seven, Emily Carr and Tom Thompson were painting, we didn't have all these electricity towers that we now do, that define large parts of the Canadian landscape. So interesting to take these old Canadian scenes, update them visually, and then bring in this element that today is a large part of our landscape and back when the original paintings were created was not. So moving on, what else did I like from this exhibition? Oh yeah, there's a whole thing of Lego. He had collected sections of Lego in towers, just creating this really beautiful assemblage of Lego, and then also this simple Lego set that was like one of the first or last Lego sets that Coupland bought as a child in the 1960s. It's just a little house and car set, but he'd repeated it like over 100 times, the same set, and it sort of looks like, reminds me of the housing developments where everything is the same over and over in these rows, but he had even cast some of these pieces, so it's a bit a quest for endless reproduction and perfect reproduction. So I think that is all I've got to say about that today.
Actually two little brief things I wanted to mention before I finish up. The first one, kind of not music related, I just wanted to let you know that I finished that Amy Poehler book, Yes Please, that Georgia lent me, and it was very funny. Not the type of book that I normally read, but I definitely am interested in reading more. I'd like to check out Tina Fey's Bossy Pants, because Amy Poehler mentioned that a little bit. And I've been watching a lot of the Mindy Project lately, so Georgia, if you have that Mindy Kaling book, Was Everybody Hanging Out Without Me, or whatever it's called, I definitely want to borrow that, because I think Mindy Kaling's really funny. Yeah, okay, and last but not least, it seems I can't go a single episode without mentioning Haim. So, yeah, a couple weeks ago, maybe like 2 weeks ago, Haim put out a collaboration with Calvin Harris. I don't know too much about Calvin Harris. I think he's big in like the whole EDM movement. They put out a song called Pray to God. Very catchy, very disco dancey. I guess it falls into that whole EDM category, but I'm not a frequent listener of that, so I don't really know. I just know that it was very catchy. Rolling Stone said that it was very similar to Stevie Nicks' Edge of 17, which I can hear that, but that song also came out in the 80s, so yeah, I can see where they are tying that relationship to. I am going to take it one step further. It sounds, there's a part in the melody that reminds me very much of a Gem and the Hologram song, cheesy I know. The song's called I've Got My Eye on You, and there's, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, that melody's a ripoff of something. I know that melody from somewhere. So I was singing it, and then I realized it was a Gem song. So it's really weird when like you start to pay attention to something, and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere, hear it everywhere. I guess it's the whole law of attraction thing. Totally off topic, but yeah, so we threw the link in for that if you want to go check it out. I could not mention it. Yeah. Okay. So that's all I have for this week. Yeah. See ya for episode 29.
I think Lauren and I will be back together for episode 29, and I will see you then. Bye.
Bye.